But come here, we Ulster Rugby live stream. We're going to give Trimby his moment here, right? Ulster Rugby live streamed the 2012 Heineken Cup quarter-final in Thomond Park between Munster and Ulster yesterday. And I sat and I watched it.
Highlights of
And,
Come on, lads. Have some standards for
It was all one big moment.
Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello and you're very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe together with Guinness. Trimby, it is week... what week is it? Is it week...
It's week 3.
Three. How are you getting on?
Fine. I think this is a turning point. I think I remember hearing at the start that they said we are going to hear from the Queen at some stage, and we're going to hear from the Queen when we most need her. Now, if I was massively into what the Queen was saying, I think I would have got a bit of energy out of that, but I still think I need something, because I think we're all at a little bit of a dip. Anybody you talk to is talking about Groundhog Day, and we're experiencing Groundhog Day massively, just falling into what I would say what it's a routine, but potentially it could be described as a rut as well.
Okay, yes.
So I mean, there's a
fine line.
There is, but it's nice to get into a routine. But yeah, there's a couple of things. We have become a big part of our routine. Obviously, I've been watching a lot of movies recently, and I Am Legend is one of my favorite movies. I know you're not a fan, but very appropriate at the minute. And one of the things he does is the routine. He just sticks to his routine adamantly. He gets up, he does his chin-ups. He just gets ripped and stacked. And then he goes to the shop, rents a movie. Then he does his shopping. Then he becomes a scientist all of a sudden. I know you've got issues with that.
He puts his glasses on. Puts his glasses on and he becomes a scientist.
But anyway, his routine is important, and we've fallen into a bit of a routine. We've become a big part of our routine in the mornings is we've become the host, like the breakfast host for all the neighborhood cats. So we're not cat lovers.
It's like my heaven.
No, it's not for me because I'm allergic. So
what? They just come around and sit at your back door?
There's 4 different cats. There's Ginger, Reva, and then a black cat and a white cat. And it's like they're all like baying for our attention, and they're all like competing with each other. It's almost like one of them came one day, and then word got out amongst the cat community. These guys are giving out ham for breakfast. So, and the kids love it. And but it's like they're competitive with each other. All the cats, they're all like trying to impress us in different ways. At the minute, the black cat and the white cat, we're not really that bothered about them. They've got a bit of attitude, a bit of sass. So Reva, then the kind of brownie striped cat, she's a bit overconfident. She's made her way into the house at one stage. Listen,
in through a window or just in the back door?
Anna coaxed her in through the patio door. To be fair, but then Ginger's cute, and she's a favorite with Molly and Jack as well. So, but yeah, that's our routine. Feed the cats in the morning, then get on with your day.
Yeah.
What's yours?
You know, the cats will eat you if you die. That's what they say. The main difference is between a cat and a dog. That is, if you die and you're alone with your cat, the cat will eat you to survive. And the dog wouldn't. The dog would just lay by your feet and die with you, which just shows to me that dogs are a little bit stupid and cats are smart.
There's two different ways, 2 different conclusions to come to there. Cats are smart / ruthless. Dogs are more loyal.
I'd eat you, man, if you died and you were beside me. Just so I could tell the tale of your heroism after you'd gone.
Just so that you could continue the podcast with someone else and tell a funny story about how you ate the previous co-host.
yeah. The ratings would be huge, man. They go through the roof.
Yeah.
Come here. What did the Queen say? I was going to watch her, but then someone pointed out that The Rock was doing a cooking show on his Instagram, so I ended up watching that instead. Sorry, Queen.
It was just what you'd expect. just saying about how we might look back at this generation and be very proud of what we accomplished through good humoured I don't know, I can't remember, something about humor which she rated as quite important.
Speaking of which, every time I see the Queen is going to address the nation, I automatically think that Queen, the band, are going to address the nation, and I get like really excited. I'm like,
anybody, imagine she just burst into the song.
I'm always disappointed when it's the Queen, but look, she's right. Humor is important and routine is important. I've just realized that. Do you know that meme where some guy will be like, "Hold my beer, I got this." Do you know that meme? I feel like me in isolation is me. Hold my beer, I got this. I am an absolute pro at this. I get up every day. I've achieved so much in the last 3 weeks that I would never have achieved if this hadn't happened. So look, I know there's obviously more important issues here and more serious issues that we have to acknowledge, and we always will. The people on the front line that we're thinking about that are working hard for us. We're actually going to have Jamie Kearns on, the Munster doctor. He's back working at a hospital in Galway, so he's going to come on and teach us or tell us what's going on. And we're not allowed to mention the war, obviously. Frontline, yeah. So we're going to hear all about that. So I'm a pro. I'm like, I get up, do a little bit of exercise, kind of like Will Smith, and I am a robot or whatever that's called. I bought one of those chin-up bars. I haven't put it up yet, so it's just kind of laying by the side of the wall where I'm supposed to put it up. So step one, I've done my 4-minute press-ups that a lot of penguins have got onto me and said that they've been trying it. One in particular got on and said, I'd have better chance of doing this if I was a penguin with my little flippers than actually doing it. So have you done any more of that?
I've done it most days, and the results have been a little bit up and down. I got up to 94, so I'm nearly there. Another few goes, I'll get there, I'd say. Although I got a few of my mates in a WhatsApp group. We're all recording ourselves doing it, and they felt like my press ups weren't regulation. I wasn't doing full extension. So, yeah.
I'm a bit concerned about my full extension. I'm very diligent with my chest to the floor. Like my chest hits the floor every time, but I bounced
off the floor. I used the floor to bounce myself back up again.
Yeah. So it's harder for you. You've got such long arms, man. Like you've got double the way to go than most people. At least, if not triple the way.
I'm effectively doing 300 press-ups in 4 minutes.
Yeah. So I've been doing loads of that. I've been watching a ridiculous amount of television. I've gotten through so many box sets in the last week. I'll impress you with those later on. I'll give you my 1 to 5 that I think people should watch. Yesterday Orla pantsed me at the when I was making a sandwich at the kind of kitchen area, and she got my jocks and shorts right to the ground, and I didn't bother pulling them up. I just kind of continued making my sandwich, and she was so horrified by the skid marks on my jocks that she was like, how long have you been wearing those underpants? And I've been wearing my tracksuit bottoms as pajamas, so I've been kind of haven't changed my clothes in about 4 days. So I showered yesterday, so that was great. Changed my clothes, felt fresh.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Was Orla?
And then I did that.
Was Orla about to stand in your pants and push you over? Only that she realised that there were shit stains. She was in her bare feet. And she was just about to stand in them, and she was like, ah. Do you remember that was the thing? I got pantsed once by John O'Connor. He was a number 7 that played for Munster. And he did it in Mallow petrol station coming back from training in Cork, and he got me, and I'd forgot jocks after training, so I had just my tracksuit bottoms on, and I had an armful of stuff in the car that I was going to eat in the car, and he, right at the counter, he knew exactly what he was doing, and then stood on them. There's nothing you can do. No, that's you done. And to be fair to him,
I had coffee. I Oh yeah, I had to put down everything individually because I had a coffee. So there's just this girl that was just standing there looking at me.
And you're like, hold that. Would you mind holding that, please?
Sorry.
Not that. Hold that.
Yeah, I need to do that again. I need to get back into that. When we all get back out of this, let's aim to pants, even if it's a random person just at the countertop.
Yeah.
Of the petrol station.
No, we'll go from isolation to prison straight away. Straight back where you started.
Shit. A routine. We still have a routine. So yeah, I've been doing my Monday to Friday. So diligent, getting all my things done. Friday evening, I got 4 cans of Guinness, and there was a great video tutorial of someone how to pour the perfect can of Guinness, because it's just never going to be the same, obviously, as a pint. But God, yeah, I did a really good job of it, and I had 4 incredibly tasty pints of Guinness out the back garden. The sun has been pretty good to us. He's coming out. I think we might have a heat wave coming as well, which would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, people aren't going for drinks anymore. People go for a Skype of Guinness or a Zoom of Guinness. Would you join me for a Zoom of Guinness at some stage?
Yeah,
we'll get.
And you know what? I'd love to.
But you can't drink it from the tin. Like, I've been drinking from the tin, but I got criticized by a craft beer enthusiast friend of mine for drinking from the tin because you can't smell it. So you're not getting the full experience, apparently.
Okay, come here. If you were to be able to go for a pint with, like, if you had, if the evil Corona wizard came and said, you can each have one afternoon with one person, who would it be? And you can go for a few pints with one person and just, and like, do you remember when Homer goes to the land of chocolate and he's just running around? Like, if you could just have, if everyone was given an afternoon to run around their city with one of their friends and do whatever they wanted.
I'm glad you specified, because I thought this was going to be one of those, if you could invite one famous, and everybody's like, Bono or whatever. Like,
it can be be a famous person, or if you want it to be one of your mates.
I think that's really stupid, because in isolation I don't miss famous people. I miss my friends, and if I had a famous person around, we would make kind of awkward chat, and I'd be, especially if it was someone who I held in high regard, it would be crap chat, because I'd be so starstruck. I'm getting one around one of my mates. So I take it that's the spirit of what we're doing here. It's not.
Well, I'd still put Brad Pitt ahead of most people. Like, I think Brad Pitt's a legend, man. Go in and browse around Pennies with Brad Pitt. Go for a walk around up the Shannon.
He'd be gutted. He was like, "Please, Barry, don't pick me, please." Oh no.
Okay, what mate would you pick? So,
but are you free?
No, I'm actually not.
You're with Brad. I go with Pat. Anyway.
Pat. Yeah. Fine. That's fine. It's fine. You can talk about House of Rugby.
Yeah. We talk about the All Blacks game in Chicago in 2016.
I think I might pick my dad. My mother will kill me for saying this, but my mother's really good. She rings me on FaceTime every day, so I feel like I'm seeing her all the time, but I haven't seen my dad at all, so I think I'd like to go for a pint with him. Although he's been very good for sending me memes and stuff like that. He's brilliant. He keeps sending me things like, did you see the 1 to 15 type of rugby player? If you they can literally, the personality of the rugby player.
Yeah. So
did you see that?
Yeah.
I loved that. What was the 11? Was kind of a bit of a space cadet, I think, were you?
14 I was, but I can't remember.
14.
I can't remember how accurate it was.
It was so accurate, all of them. Like, I could tell you what person in the position of each one. That was so like that. My one was 13 was, I had a lot of girlfriends, which I was like, ooh. And have a very
14
strong...
girls in underage disco.
And I had a very strong porn collection. And my dad was like, I really want to see that porn collection when we get out of all of this. So he's proud of me.
That's creepy chat from your dad.
isn't it?
Yeah, Dad.
Yeah. Although I remember once. Do you remember when you didn't own a pair of black socks when you were younger because you only had white socks, and then you'd go into your dad's, for some reason you needed a pair of black socks, you had a meeting or something, and you'd go into your dad's sock drawer and take a pair of his black socks. I used to do that, and then one day I went in and I found a video, a porn, which was it was called Dominatrix, starring Chasey Lane. She was a beautiful brunette, and I was like, I was like 15. I was like, oh my fucking god! I was in the house on my own, so I took it into my brother's room because he had one of those video TVs. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
So you could stick it in. I watched it. I watched the first maybe 10 minutes, and I panicked. I thought everyone was coming home, so I put it away. And then the next day, I got home after school. I was the first one home, and I went in to watch, the next little while I could watch, and the fucking credits came on. So I was like, they've been watching it the night before. The dirty bastards. So
you previously you told a story a while back about how your dad caught you. Who was it? Who was the picture you printed out and you had it?
The Pink Power Ranger.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, what age were you then? Obviously, you'd already been caught with the Pink Power Ranger before you went on to catch your dad.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't want to say anything. Because it was too good. It was so good to have it that I just said, this is like the best thing ever. So this went on for a long time, but every time I'd go back, it would be at a different part of the movie. So I was a little bit taking it as like, this is brilliant gold, but it's scarring me for life as well. But it wasn't until many, many years later that we were on holidays as a family, and we realized that it was me and my two brothers that were taking turns watching it. It wasn't my parents at all. My dad confiscated it off my older brother, but he knew where he put it, so we all knew where we put it. So we were going each time watching it. So that's just in case my parents are listening to this. You're off the hook. Just in case you're having a heart attack, it wasn't you that were watching it. You were being responsible parents, but you probably should have destroyed the video as opposed to just keeping it, right?
Well, the fact that they decided to keep it makes me suspicious. And also, they might have heard you explaining that it was them watching it and then just shut off straight away. So they might never get to the punchline of the fact that they're in the clear.
Yeah, that's true.
Text them now. Tell them to make sure and watch this to its entirety.
Okay, speaking of texting, Pat is texting me here, panicking that we need to get off this and move on. So we've got Simon Zebo joining us on the phone from Paris in a few minutes. I can't wait to chat to him. He's the most positive human being on the planet and the happiest and the most joyful. So I'm wondering, is he still like that, or is this breaking him a little bit?
Hopefully he's a bit broken like the rest of us.
Yeah. Come on. How are you really feeling? Let's see if we can make him cry. We've also going to be joined by Jamie Kearns in a few minutes. But before that, I want to give a big shout out to everyone that's been watching the show since October 2018, really. We really appreciate you following us along the way, and we hope you've enjoyed the few isolation episodes. We had a lovely landmark last week where we passed 4 million listens and views, and we just want to say a big thank you. That blows my mind a little bit. 4 million.
4 million. Let's just take a moment.
Yeah. Cheers you with my Baraka. Oh, classic!
Also,
how long do you have that? How have you not lost that, man? You got that in the Irish Academy 20 years ago.
I've got 2 of these.
Fuck. You responsible motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Alrighty. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with Jamie Kearns, Dr. Jamie Kearns, and then we'll get Zeebs on, and Zeebs is going to help us out with our classic album and movie reviews today. we've picked an album that he loves, which is Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G., and our self-isolation classics such as 28 Days Later, which you watched last night, I Am Legend, Contagion, which I thought said Contagnion, and Zombieland. So let's take a quick break and come back with Jamie Kearns. Okay, we're delighted to be joined by Dr. Jamie Kearns, the Munster team jock doctor, but who is currently back working in the university hospital in Galway for the next while. Jamie, thanks a million for joining us, man. How are things?
Good, yeah. Thanks, lads. It's strange. It's a different kind of situation to be in, and it's unusual to be kind of talking to everyone from home and lots of Skype phone calls and all that kind of stuff with the players. But it's been in a strange way. It's been kind of the last week or two has actually been quite enjoyable to get back on the front line and kind of try and help out in the effort. I certainly can't say I've been doing loads. I've done a couple of weeks with it. There's been people there for a lot longer than me, so I don't really kind of give myself a pat on the back just yet. But it's been nice to be able to go and do something, to have a bit of a privilege to be able to do that. You feel like a bit of purpose.
Have you worked in an emergency department before? Like, was there a lot to get you back up to speed with that?
Yeah, so I worked there for a good few years. Actually, I know them all in there quite well. And I would have finished up there a couple of years ago just to focus on the rugby side of things. So when this all came down, Munster were pretty good. I spoke to them about it and said, look, I'd be keen to get back and just help out, do something. And Munster were very supportive of that. They said, look, we'd be delighted for you to do that. And I know the guys in there, so it was pretty easy to get set up again and just go back in, kind of pick up where I left off, to be honest, in some ways.
I heard Dr. Tony on the general media press release the other day saying that when he was in St. Vincent's the other day getting checked up, the hospital was really quiet, eerily quiet, and he was kind of recommending that people who would regularly go to a hospital for something that an issue or something that might come up have stopped going to the hospital, thinking that it's going to be bedlam out there or that it's dangerous. Is that something similar in Galway?
Yeah, it is very much so, and I think that's actually just a really important message to get across to people. Not to panic people, but also that not to neglect themselves either, because the stuff that normally happens that we would have been seeing in the emergency department with the heart attacks, the pneumonias, all those things are critical that you see those straight away, that you don't wait around and hang around at home thinking, well, I don't want to go in and get a virus because this thing, this can wait. I think it's important that people don't neglect their health as well. And I think, you've seen the messages around, like the GPs aren't closed. They're just being a bit more cautious around who comes in and out to the surgeries. But I think that's really important. There's still people out there. If you're not sure, just pick up the phone and ring your doctor, ring whoever, because you don't want to see people neglect their health because they're worried about catching something else. And that's actually really important because it could lead to pretty bad outcomes for people otherwise. So that is important. But in terms of the hospital, it is kind of eerie because you're used to going to an emergency department where there's too many people on trolleys and stuff like that, and that's not there at the minute, which is kind of eerie. But then when people are coming in, they're coming in pretty sick, to be honest. So it's definitely it's sobering when that happens, and I think that's why it's so important that everyone's hands on deck at the minute.
Jamie, what about the health of the frontline workers? There's a lot of chat up here about there's not enough equipment to keep guys safe. Is that an issue down there?
We're lucky at the minute in the hospital. In Galway, we seem pretty well stocked, but I know even down in Cork, they were running into problems down there. They were getting through equipment quite quickly because it's all single-use stuff. So you're getting through things every time you assess someone. The really hard bit is all the people you see who probably don't have COVID-19, but if they've got a cough or they're short of breath for any number of reasons, you've got to just take that precaution because, as it is at the minute, a quarter of all the infections are in healthcare workers. So, that's the bit that probably changes your approach to going in. It's not like in the past going in, working in the emergency department where you go in and go, right, I'm going to see people and hopefully make people better or do whatever, get the right treatment. You're also going, am I going to be safe? Am I going to come home healthy? Because, that's the scary bit, I suppose. That's the bit that change, the little bit of sombering thing. And I think for the most part, you just have to put that to the back of your head and just be appropriate. Make sure you take all the measures you can and just go in and try and do your job as best you can. But it is definitely in the back of your mind, definitely. You see, I don't think Twitter has been good for my mental health, to be honest.
It never is. It never is for anyone.
I should have learned this, but it's
the old profile got a boost there a while back, Jimmy.
Yeah. I only started to go back on again recently. I picked bad times to go on Twitter. It is sobering. You see the number of people across the world. I think it's like something like 170 healthcare workers have died. And what was scary was someone's put up a list of the people just as a kind of a recognition, and you look through the ages and you go, Christ, they're all the same age as I am. And that is the bit that, I think it's hard for people in general to process, when you see like, what is it, 170,000 people dead worldwide. I don't think you can process that number, but then when you start to see it as a smaller group and it's individuals and it's an individual story, you process and go, okay, wow, that's actually quite close to home. And it's just the reality of it all. And that's not to try and frighten or scare people, but I think it's just so important to people, because you can kind of get lulled into a false sense of, everything's grand because I'm sitting at home and, having a nice time with my family, and that's all really positive. But just not to think that this is going away anytime soon is important as well. And that's, again, it's just about a balanced message, not trying to scare people, because there's that side of it as well. It can be quite scary, but I think if you're at home and you're doing all the right things, you'll be fine. I think that's important to know as well.
Yeah, I do feel like that's the only thing we can do is kind of stay at home, and there is a lot of fear out there. And when you see someone from, like, Twitter has been bad, I've seen hospital workers and nurses and doctors who are come out and said they're genuinely terrified that this isn't what they signed up for, and that for me really hits home. Is that something that you've witnessed yourself up there, that there's a fear amongst the staff?
I think what we're lucky with, because Galway has been relatively, compared to the rest of the country, there hasn't been as many cases. Now there's still people coming in, and you can still see when you're gowning up and you're going in, you're coming out, you're very conscious of everything you're doing in terms of trying to make sure that you're doing everything in the right order, that you're not taking off equipment, you're not contaminating yourself. And there is that little bit of fear around people. But again, like anything, and particularly when you work in a hospital, you understand this, is there's a certain sense of camaraderie, there's a bit of people kind of sticking together on it, and there's definitely a very good united purpose. And I think that's important to know, that it extends it's not just like me going in doing a couple of shifts. It certainly isn't me. It's everyone. It's the nursing staff. It's the cleaners going in. Like, that's one of the jobs where I go, my God, people don't get paid enough to do that. Where you're being told, right, there's a really dangerous virus in there. Go in and clean that room every time someone comes in. I don't think we pay people enough to do that. Like, it's just.
Oh, you're right. That's a fair point.
I think we missed that a bit. Like, Jesus, that's the important stuff. But again, everyone plays their part by just being sensible and smart and taking what is a good opportunity to actually, go home, learn something, spend time with your family. It's actually, on that side of it, it's actually been really nice. It's been lovely.
Have you been able to do that, or what's your life like outside of the hospital?
Yeah, because I'm only in there 3 days a week at the minute. So the other 4 days I'm home with my 3 young kids, and it's actually been really nice. My wife actually kind of thinks it's a bit of a holiday for her, because she's normally doing all this on her own. Like, I'm away the whole time usually, so especially with matches and away at weekends. So she's delighted, and it's nice for the kids. They think this is great. Like, so they're having a great time.
How old are the kids?
We've 6, 5, and 2. So it's busy, and our oldest child actually has autism. So that's actually been. I think I could understand, for a lot of people out there who have any child with a disability, it can be a challenge. Now, we've actually kind of seen the benefit of it, because we were able to kind of have a bit of both of us there, and we can give attention to him, give a bit of routine and stuff. There's a lot of trampoline work going on. Our neighbours are probably wondering what's going on in our house, but it's good. It's good. That's really positive. And I mean, it's trying to take that really focus, go, okay, what can we achieve with the time we have now? Because otherwise, you'd sit there and say, just looking at media and look at different things, and Christ, you'd scare yourself senseless. Like,
tell us a bit, Jamie, a little bit about. Heard some frightening stories about the actual experience of the patients going in, because I hadn't appreciated just how isolated the whole experience is. When they go in, they say goodbye to their family, and then that's it. Tell us a bit about that.
I think that's something that I've read a lot about, as well as both the isolation and the stigma of having something like this, because no one wants, like, you almost feel a little bit like a pry if you pick it up, because no one wants to go near you, and it's a horribly isolating position to be in. And I think that's where you get like the people, like particularly the nursing staff, are just so good at that, where they'll stay with someone and they'll give them support. And I don't think that's the bit that I think everyone recognises what a role a nurse plays and that kind of thing, and how good they are at that kind of thing. That just emotional support, because it is. I mean, you're coming in, you're gowned up, you're masked, you're put in a room on your own. You don't really know what's going on, so that's important that you can kind of just give people the information. And for most people, I think the other side of it is, 95% of people are going to be okay with this. So that's important as well, because I think you don't want someone to pick up an illness, go home and think, Christ, this is, I'm going to be locked in a room on my own either. That's important. So for the most part, it is, yeah, it's very isolating, but it is, again, it's something that people will come through and they'll be supported through it with, as I say, whether it's the healthcare assistant, nursing assistants, or the doctors going in, they will support that person. You're not going to be left on your own. And that is important to know that. Because I think otherwise, again, there's nothing worse than the fear of the unknown. And that kind of what can scare people. So I think, look, control what you can control at the minute, have a bit of a purpose, have a bit of a connection, do these kind of things. I think the bonus has been, like, the fun stuff where you've kind of gone, I set up a Zoom with guys I haven't seen for a year, and you're having a Zoom night on a Friday night, and it's brilliant. That's a positive. And I don't know if you've seen some of the videos of, kind of groups doing exercise together and all that stuff. So that's where it's got to be positive, I think that's a really important thing, to keep that connection going, and keep that purpose going, which is what we've tried to do with the lads as well. And the team is just give them a bit of a routine and give them a purpose. So not to flog them. It's not about that. The goal is more about right, let's stay connected and stay purposeful here during all this. Because otherwise, as I say, idle mind is never good for anyone.
Yeah, especially for everyone, that's sound advice, or that's something to take seriously. But for guys that are used to being in a team environment and so just thriving on that kind of team culture and team crack and slagging and banter in that changing room environment, that's even harder going from that to isolation.
Totally, and like that, they're not used to it. I mean, particularly for the guys. I mean, some of them as well. If they're particularly for our guys, some of them, if they're moving up from Cork during the week and they're staying up with people, it's a big change. So that's why the whole idea of, and our athletic performance team have been so good on that, and physio staff, and just going, right, here's the schedule for what you guys need to do these couple of days, and almost try and mirror the training week. And the coaches have given them different skills challenges and stuff, and it's so good, because it's just, otherwise, get up in the morning, what are you going to do? Like, you can't watch Netflix for 16 hours. Like,
wait, whoa. That's a challenge accepted, Jeremy.
I got some good tips from Jeremy, actually, so he gave me some good tips for movies. But yeah, no, it is just, I think anything in life, the two most important things are your connection and not being isolated. So like that, trying to have, what the coaches have done is we've split the squad up into different groups, and we've done that throughout both senior and academy, so that everyone has someone they can go to and discuss and just have a connection, and have different groups as well, which is, it's a really positive thing to do. So that's how we're trying.
So they
to
have group chats on Zoom and stuff like that, is it, where they stay in touch
for checking in? So if they need to check in on their physio, they've got a physio dedicated. If it's S&C, they've got that. And then within that, you guys be familiar with kind of having the different various kind of kind of leaders within the squad. So they would each group would have one there who would just check in on guys as well and just see everyone's doing okay. So it's kind of important to do that as well. Like,
that's brilliant. Yeah, I'm within earshot of David Kilcoyne and Ronan O'Mahony here. I can actually see their houses, and so far all they've been doing is flying drones with cans of beer touched to them or attached to them, hanging from them or on them. So I'd be intrigued to see what kind of training they're doing.
As long as Killer's flying that out and not in, we're okay. I know.
He's spreading positivity.
I think the positive for him is you almost have to take him out of the gym and tell him to stop, because I think he's got half of Elbury's stocked into his house now. So
they do. They live next door to each other, and they've got a proper gym out the back garden, which is very impressive.
That's good, and that's important as well, because I think you need that bit of physical outlet as well. Because that's you've seen the plethora of stuff all over of people at home exercise stuff, which is great. It's brilliant. If we could keep this up, when this is hopefully all finishes up, that'd be great as well.
Yeah. In the meantime, it's 16 hours of Netflix for me, man.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, look, you're obviously a very busy man, and you've much more important things to do. But we just want to thank you so much for coming on, man. And I think being so positive as well. You've been realistic, and I think we're all kind of aware now of what we need to do, and I think you've hit the nail on the head for me, is that fear and being afraid and being worried is not going to help anyone. So being positive and just being knowledgeable and kind of aware is a great message. So fair play.
I think, thanks. And I think just if people just remember to just stick with it, it's going to take a little bit longer, but just as I say, find something positive you can focus on that you can do in your own time, and then that's the way we can make a difference in this.
Yeah, Jimmy, I've been blown away. You've been so much more level-headed and sensible than what we've come to expect from you on the pitch over the last while. So thanks so much.
And that's what everyone said to me beforehand as well. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks. I know. Look, lads, thanks very much for asking me to come on. It's just important to get those messages across, and just the thing that's been great about all this is the positive, like the community-wise. Like, you've just seen how good, like, generally I think my message is people are sound, and that's what you see, and that's the positive side of it,
Amen.
Nice one, Jimmy.
Well said,
Come on.
All right. Take it easy, buddy.
Cheers, Jimmy. See ya.
Bye. Welcome to the show, Simon Zebo.
Thank you.
Is he gone?
He's there. It's not part of it, Zeebs.
I'm here.
That's our album of the week. That's our album of the week, and you were going to get the lowdown from you, because to be honest, the two of us have no idea about it. But Zeebs, you're probably the most positive person that I know, or the most upbeat and happiest person. So we're going to spend the next 20 minutes trying to drag you down and trying to make you see the reality of the situation. But in all seriousness, how are you doing? Are you still as happy as usual, or are you feeling a little bit isolated?
No, feeling good. Feeling happy. Spending a lot of time with the kids, and enjoying family time. We don't get to spend this much quality time with our children and my partner, our fiance as well. So it's been good. It's been the kids have obviously been challenging. They've at times, they've had their moments, but all in all, it's been really good. It's really enjoyable so far. Long way to continue.
I'm the same. We were talking earlier on, and I was like, I'm in my zone here. This is where I belong. I belong in isolation, where I can just sit in my underpants all day and watch TV and indulge constantly. I have a feeling you might be the same, man. I have a feeling you could be in comfortable waters, yeah.
Very comfortable. This is ideal for me.
And what's the weather like?
The weather's okay. It's pretty grey today, but in general, all in all, it's been good. It was 23 degrees yesterday, so it was really nice to get out into the garden and things like that with the kids. So it's been good.
Zeebs, talk to us about your get-up. Is that t-shirt? Is that you and Finn Russell?
Oh, you wore the Biggie t-shirt for the day that's in it.
Yes, I did, boys. I wore it for you.
Did you order it?
So is it Tupac and Biggie? Is it Tupac and Biggie?
No, it's Tupac and Biggie, yeah. And they're friends.
Were they not? Ah, very slick. So, if you were, and who are you? You're Tupac.
Sorry?
Who are you? Are you Tupac? Are you Biggie?
Honestly, I'd be more of a Biggie fan anyway. So I'll take the Biggie mantle. I know more of his songs and everything.
So Finn Russell is Tupac. Okay, if If you and Finn Russell were Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, which one would you be?
I would probably be Ben Affleck, I'd say. No? I think Matt Damon's, very, very, I don't know, kind of nerdy or something. He wouldn't really suit me. Finn can be a little bit of a nerd at times, so I'd leave him take that. I'll be Ben Affleck's. He's been in a few fighting movies and stuff, hasn't he?
You've never been in a fight in your life.
Stop. No, stories go way back.
So talk us through your routine. Have they got you doing some sort of training while you're at home, or what are you up to?
Well, you try and incorporate a little bit of training, all right? Yeah, they just before the official lockdown happened, we were given the opportunity to come into the training centre and come take watt bikes and dumbbells, kettlebells, bars, all that stuff. So I got a few bands and
doing that one.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. No, I have 2 kettlebells, all right. One's 5 kg, one's 10 kg. And they hold
all the back door while you're out there, kind of sunbathing, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But no, I actually do. We have a big hill right next to our house, so we're able to get out. I can do some hill sprints and stuff. I wouldn't be very good at doing the weights and things like that. I try, but as the two, yourself, I'd be more of a runner. So I try to do a bit of hill sprints and things like that just to keep on my toes. But it's hard being stuck inside,
And come here, Dunners and Finn live quite nearby, right? So do they share the same hill?
Finn, I don't think he's done too much running, to be honest. Yet. He's waiting until we're close to coming back to playing. But Dunners is in a lovely area, about 10 minutes away from here. And he has big parks and areas where he can just go out and train, no problem. So, yeah, we're all living in the same area or relatively close. So. We're not allowed to train together, but the boys will be keeping on top of this.
I'd say Donegal is finding it harder than most to not talk to people.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Just talking to strangers, encroaching more than 2 meters. 2 meters.
Yeah. Straight up in their face.
Oh, he's a gas.
How about the old pair, man? Have you been talking to your parents back home?
I have. Yeah, they're good. They've been isolating themselves as well, talking to my grandmother and other family members through windows and things like that. They've been
Dad's birthday yesterday, right?
Yes, it was my dad's birthday yesterday. He turned 65, so he wouldn't look it, So my missus is a little bit happy, hoping that I look that way when I'm 65, but I doubt it.
Yeah, you need to, man. Yeah. And I'm sure your missus will hope that she looks as well as your mother does when they're that age as well, right?
Absolutely. Well done, Bash. You'll be delighted with that now.
Jeez.
Easy now, Tiger.
It's the mother where you get the looks from. It's not your father at all, man. If they only knew. I think your father is one of my most favorite human beings on the planet. Closely behind your mother. I think she's just a little bit ahead of him. They're two of the most interesting and loving and most infectious people that I've ever met, and it would be the same for you and Jessica, your sister. I think you know that. Talk to me about growing up in that house, like your dad, like how he ended up in Cork. Tell us that. Let's start there. Let's go way back.
Oh, way back. So my dad started out in Martinique, and he had to come and do a service in the army in Paris, in France, and he came and he was training at the same time he was doing his service. He broke his leg, started to DJ for an extra bit of money. He had a big afro DJing in the Parisian clubs. You know, it was funny. Seeing a few photos, very funny. Yeah, huge afro, huge, incredible. And so my mother came over to Paris doing a year to learn French or whatever, and fell in love with this DJ with an afro, and started to hang out. And a year later, Arthur comes over to Ireland to meet my grandparents for the first time in a white tuxedo, and pull out all the pulled out all the stops to make an impression with not a word of English, and eventually he settled there, and the rest is history. Yeah.
Oh man, I heard your granddad tell that story before about him opening the door to your dad standing there in a white tuxedo. Do they live in Bishopstown or is it Blackrock? They live in Blackrock with a bouquet of flowers and and a big fro. And like the two of them are like that. That's it. Yeah. Your dad claims he's like I was the first black man in Cork to live in Cork, right?
Yes. It's official.
So he said. Yeah. Oh, what a legend. And then I suppose you came along, and your sister Jessica. I've seen many a home video of you dancing and imitating her all the time. You're obviously two of the closest, I think, siblings I've ever come across. Tell me about Jess.
Oh, Jess, she's a legend. Yeah, as you know, she'd be like the female version. The closest thing to the female version, bar my daughter, I've seen of myself. You know, she's just such an upbeat, outgoing person, always happy, very good dancer, still second to me, but very good dancer, loves raps, loves singing. So yeah, we had a very fun childhood.
She told me the other day that she got onto you in isolation and asked you to recommend a Biggie Smalls song for her to learn the rap to. What did you tell her?
One More Chance. One More Chance. Oh my God. Probably the most explicit rap song Biggie has. Yeah, she gave it a good go, but I don't know.
She loved it. She loved it. I suppose she obviously went and married my bandmate, Dara Graham. One of my favorite stories that he has is when he first went to your house to meet your parents when they were teenagers, and your dad was sitting across the table just like this, pretending like he had a shotgun, just shooting him. He was like, what the fuck have I got myself into?
Yeah, it was very funny. I was probably only 7 or 8 year old. I remember how nervous Dara was coming over to the house, trying to impress Jessica all the time, whether it be playing tennis and jumping over a tennis net, trying to impress Jessica and falling flat in his face, all these things. He was really nervous with my dad's presence around the place. It was very, very funny. Yeah.
That's amazing. So come here, the positivity that we talked about at the start of the show, and that I don't know, you're just the happiest person, one of the happiest people that I've met. Is that something that you work on, or is that just come natural to you, or do you just wake up and you're like, I need to be ultimately positive all the time and happy and upbeat?
It wouldn't be such a conscious thing on my mind, you know. I just notice maybe from time to time if I start to get into a bad mood, just snap out of it or something, you know. And you know, I constantly have my kids around me and positive people around me anyway. You know, I wouldn't tend to surround myself with negative people too much, so or as much as possible. So yeah, every day is a new day and a challenge for me to go out and attack it and have fun, and yeah, try and make as many memories as possible before, you know, the show's over. So try build up a big book of memories. That's what I say to myself sometimes, just have as much fun as possible.
Zeebs, with that kind of positivity, everybody kind of knows what you're like, and I know you'd mentioned a few times about playing, spending some time in France or always being open to that move. It was obviously something you always kind of eyed up, but it just seems to just have nailed you. It just seems to be the perfect fit, and you seem to be absolutely loving life. It seems to be bringing out the best version of you. Definitely when you were playing, but now that you're not playing, just living in Paris and doing whatever you want every day, it just seems like a perfect fit for you.
Yeah, so couldn't have worked out better, I don't think. Yeah, it's been perfect from a rugby standpoint, from a lifestyle point of view. How my family have adapted to everything, the language, my kids' schooling, and everything. So there hasn't been one hiccup really where we've looked at each other and said, "Oh, what have we done?" Every day has been incredible. Even the bad days, you take them into it as well. It's all part of the experience. So yeah, it's been great getting to play with some amazing players, some unbelievably talented. You see, like some of the tries we were capable of scoring. Like, it's incredible rugby to be a part of. And yeah, it's all the teammates, all the French lads, all the foreign boys. They're all really, really sound. Everybody gets on really, really well together. Different crack, obviously, to Munster, but there's real good camaraderie there, and yeah, there's a real sense of we're going to win something this season. We were hoping, but it's not probably not to be unless something drastic happens. But yeah, we feel like we're pretty close, and there's no team really that we fear. You see that when we went to Saracens and go to Thomond Park. Doesn't matter where we go, we play ball. We're going to be in a chance of winning. So
Steve,
yeah, it's very
Steve,
exciting to be a
tell us
part
about
of.
that. Tell us about the difference in crack, because even within Ireland, like Munster lads, they're I just remember the example was BJ Botha. Whenever he was at Ulster, he got away with anything. He used to park wherever he wanted, did whatever he wanted, turned up whatever time he wanted because he was a Springbok, and we all just kind of sucked up to him, because he was class for us. And then as soon as he signed for Munster, we were like, he's gonna get a rude awakening because no, he was top of the pile with us, and then just no one can ever slag him or give him a hard time. And then it sounds like you boys got on top of him just because the Munster banter and slagging is just different to everywhere else. Tell us about how that kind of transfers, or how that what it's like in Racing compared to that. Because I remember hearing one story about Stephen Jones whenever he was at Claremont, and one of the lads walked in a leather jacket or something a little bit flamboyant, and he tried to. Steve Jones tried to slag him apparently, and then all his teammates were like, "Would you relax? Give him a break. He's just trying to look. He's trying to look good," which is completely like it's like culture shock. Whenever you got there, did you have to adapt at all, or were you kind of biting your tongue at all?
No, not so much. Not so much. Like the French crack is very, very different. They're a lot more sensitive when it comes to slagging. You can't get away with some of the stuff you get away with in Ireland. Like it would be borderline assault over in France. Like the way the way they take it. So it's interesting. Just to be a part of that different culture or whatever. But the lads still have a good time. There's a big international influence. Like it's an international change room. So Skin would get the crack going, I would, or a few of the Islander boys. There's a really good crack, but obviously, as you know, in Munster and Ulster, well, there's less crack in Ulster, but in Munster, there's a real
Well said. Well said.
yeah,
Well said.
a real slagging mentality. So you can't come in flashy clothes or whatever in Munster. You'd be laughed out the place. And in Paris, it's like a fashion show.
It didn't stop. Sure, that didn't stop you though. It really, yeah.
It is. You should see the gears, Teddy Thomas, and Vakatawa, or a few of the other brown boys come in, and it is outrageous, like incredible. Yeah, it's different.
It's like
wow.
I think Trimby, you've nailed it. Where it's like you are in the place where you should be right now, right? I loved your proposal to Elvira in front of the Eiffel Tower, and singing, was it Riptide? Most people would have most people would have gotten through a verse and a chorus, and that would have been enough. You sang the entire song.
She was like she's rolling her eyes with the end of it. Yeah, she's like, yes, yes.
Fucking hell.
Stop, yes.
You have to feed the kids, man. You have to feed the kids. Like You're just there.
I need to enjoy it too. I had to have my moment.
It was more about you than her, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, stop. That was good. Yeah. That went down the tree.
That was great. So, any plans? Any dates set?
We're looking at summer 2021, but just depending on how everything goes, it could be on pause, you know. So we'll just have to see how everything develops and get married.
I know a good wedding band, man.
I know. I'd have to lead it though. You know, I'd have to.
Well, I'm not talking about Hermitage Green now. I'm talking about me and Trimby. We're pretty sick drum and bass duo at the moment. So we will learn the entire back catalogue of Biggie Smalls, so you can just come up and have the crack. But come here, we Ulster Rugby live stream. We're going to give Trimby his moment here, right? Ulster Rugby live streamed the 2012 Heineken Cup quarter-final in Thomond Park between Munster and Ulster yesterday. And I sat and I watched it. And
Come on, lads. Have some.
It was a one big moment.
Why don't you put up the final?
You got beat by more than final, fellas.
Come here, Trimby. Go on. You give us your feedback on that game first, Trimby.
The first thing I noticed was Elvira, the meatloaf. First thing I noticed was how dreamy Pinar looked. He looked incredible. Have you seen him now? By contrast, and he was just smashing penalties left, right, and centre. He was incredible. Zebes, you went well. I think you got on the outside of me there. I think Ian Humphreys kind of sold me up the river a little bit and made it very difficult. I'm gonna blame him for that. It is.
Zebes has no recollection of this game whatsoever.
Zero whatsoever. I remember, in fairness to him, the only thing I do remember is Craig's try, which was a great try. In fairness to him, so that really sent him on the mantle.
Should have passed it.
Yeah.
Twice.
You were lucky. I'll give you that. You hung in there. Like.
Yeah, we were, and you're right. It's shameful that that was honestly one of my favorite days in an Ulster jersey because no one ever went down there. And like beat us up a little bit, certainly in the first half, and then just as you say, hung in there. But it's even shameful that is such a highlight for me. And then you watch the game back, and we had like 20% possession or something. So a highlight for us is just defending you guys for ages. But
I couldn't believe how little ball you had. I was blown away. But look, we'll give you a nod. But I suppose the 2E had more of a joint beautiful memory in Chicago 2000 and what year was that, lads? 17? Yeah. Talk me through that. 2E on either wing, beating the All Blacks for the first time. Special day.
Yeah, very special day. One of my favorite days in an Irish jersey. I'd say yourself as well, Trimby. Being the first team to beat the All Blacks was obviously incredibly special. But yeah, I think the whole week around it, wasn't it, Trimby? That was really good. With the Chicago Bears playing the World Series, was it the Bears? No, the Cubs.
Cubs,
yeah. The Cubs playing in the World Series at the same time. So Chicago was crazy at the time. The streets were flooded. Everybody screaming for the Cubs to go and win. And they won it the night before our game, wasn't it? I think, or 2 days before our game.
I think it was a couple of days before because there was a parade then after they came back, and then the parade moved out, and then I think we played them the day after that.
The parade. so it was like over 100 years since they'd won the World Series, and then we played the All Blacks 111 years since we beat them. So we had two basically mass gatherings going at it on that Saturday night. It was unbelievable. The whole week in general was amazing. Probably my favorite memory.
Yeah, there's something about it. It was everybody. Whenever you think about highlights and games, like for example, that Munster Ulster game, that quarterfinal, I don't remember anything else apart from the game. But it was the whole week, the whole build up, the buzz, the excitement, and then everybody was jet lagged, so everybody was really sociable. Everybody was out for coffees at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and spent loads of time together. There was a real buzz. It was incredible. It was definitely the highlight for me. One of those moments you look back and it was just so pleased that we were in it.
All right.
But tell us about the time.
Right,
tell us about the time you nearly beat them, Buzz.
Oh, brilliant!
It was good week as well. Yeah, it was better than a win, lads. It was better than a win. To come that close, to raise the hearts and souls of the nation, and then dash them. Yeah, that's true. So with those memories in mind, Zeebs, any ideas whether you'll return to Cork, your beloved Cork, and maybe pull back on the Munster jersey, the Irish jersey?
If you know, you never know how contract time goes, etc. I'd imagine next season I'll be with wrestling, so it'll be after that I'll see where I go or see what I decide to do. I don't know if how rugby and everything will be going then. So we'll see. Yeah. I obviously love home. I love Cork. I'd be a very proud native of where I'm from. And to obviously play in Munster and Thomond Park is incredibly special, and to have gotten back there with wrestling, to be able to do that, it showed me again just how special it was, especially when they're baying for your blood. So it was obviously something I'd love to do, but you always don't get what you want, and your cards are dealt different ways, so we just have to see how everything plays out.
Okay. Say nothing. Say nothing, dude.
Say nothing.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we'd love to have you back, man. We would absolutely love to have you back any day. So the door is open. I can speak for everyone when I say that. Right, Zeebs, if you're familiar with the show, we've been reviewing some classic movies and albums, and we have chosen Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G. Talk to me about your relationship with this album.
My relationship with this album, awesome album. It was probably one of the first couple of rap albums that I picked up, and as soon as I picked it up and listened to it, I fell in love with Biggie's voice and his flow. That's the main thing for me. His flow, and no matter what beat you put down, he'll make it sound good. So I really, have a strong connection with him. He'd be my favorite rapper, and this album has some incredible songs like Juicy, Who Shot You? Obviously, that has a lot of history with Tupac. You've got One More Chance, one of my favorite explicit raps. You've just got so many. Give Me the Loot. You got so many classics, so many beats that came around, and they were, pioneers of the genre. You'd never heard sounds like these before when it comes to hip hop, and Biggie himself, he's just the master. Especially Juicy is probably the biggest track on this album, I'd imagine.
I think that's my favorite, just because the bass line is so infectious and so class. I've been learning that all week. I've been listening to it a lot, and I personally feel more gangster that because I've been listening to it for 3 days now. So yeah, I was like playing it for the kids this morning, the babies, and I could see they felt a little bit more gangster as well.
Turn that hat backwards, Barry.
Does that go in line with your positivity and your upbeat personality?
Yes, brother. Music, style, it's all one.
I love it. Yeah, Trimby, you need to get on this stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't. I've never described myself as gangster. One time, Nick Williams went to give me a fist pump before we went out on the pitch, and I high-fived his fist pump. So that sums me up right there.
I love it. Well, we can highly recommend anyone who wants to feel gangster listen to that album. It's absolute. You're right. The flow. I heard a lot of people. I watched a few documentaries, and the flow that he has, I think, was what everyone spoke about. So you nailed it. Film of the week. We're talking Isolation. So we've gone with 28 Days Later, Zombieland, and what was the other one? I Am a Robot Legend. I think it's called. Is it? I Am Legend. Would you have a favourite of the three of them? I Am Legend, Zombieland, or 28 Days Later?
I'd say I Am Legend, probably. I really like Will Smith. I like him as an actor. I think he's incredible. And this was a very different side to, I think, his acting performances prior to that. So to be isolated like that and have no one around is kind of like Castaway or something, you know. It's you really focus on his actual acting skills, and I thought he was unbelievable in that. So I'd watch that again. No.
Barry, you had an issue. You didn't like I Am Legend, but you said you watched the alternative ending. What happens at the end? I haven't seen that one.
I find Will Smith very difficult to watch. I think his acting is shit.
Small bit of a contrast there. Now we're
I'm not going to beat around the bush here, Zeebs.
Not so gangster anymore. Sure, he's not Zeebs.
Okay, you can put the hat forward again,
I prefer Tom Hanks in Castaway personally.
I'm sure you do.
The alternate ending is I don't know what the real ending is because I've only watched the alternate ending, but the zombie has a bird at the end and he falls in love with his bird, and Will Smith saves his bird, and then he seems to be grand. The zombies then go off. Is that what happens in the real one?
No, they smash through. They start headbutting. I think the zombies in I Am Legend, whenever they're in his lab at the end and they're running up, I think they look a little bit like O'Connell whenever he was on the IV drip that time.
They do. They look exactly like O'Connell.
And they were headbutting the glass, and they eventually headbutt it enough times that they break through and kill him.
They look exactly like O'Connell.
Don't they?
O'Connell, like against Ulster that day, where he was just trying to break through the brick wall with his face, but you were just holding him off. Trimby, you watched 28 Days Later last night.
Yeah, I think you were right to warn me. Zeeb, we were going to do 28 Days Later and that was it. But he got like 20 minutes into it and it was too scary and depressing. And he texted me and he's like, I'm not going to watch it. It's not good. It's not good for my mental health. So he just ditched it. I got a bit sucked into it. I only realised I hadn't seen it before. I thought I'd seen it before, but it's a weird movie. I really enjoyed it though. I loved it. I got sucked in. But it looks like it's recorded on someone's Sony Ericsson in like the early 90s. Like it's weird.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't really you can't. It's really weirdly cut, and the sounds really strange. But anyway, apart from that, I thought it was great.
The sound is crap, so you're watching it and you can't really hear what they're saying. So you're like going up to the screen, like trying to hear what Cillian Murphy is saying, and then a fucking zombie bursts through a window, and it's like, turning it down as quickly as possible. But yeah, scared the shit out of me. Wasn't good I would not recommend anyone to watch that during isolation. What I would recommend watching is Zombieland with Bill Murray and Jesse, what's his face? Is that his name? Yeah. That is the isolation film you need to watch because it's hilarious and it doesn't make you freak out, because I think that's what's important. Don't freak out. It'll all be grand. So look, okay, we've got across the board there. All three of them got a bit of a vote. Well done, lads. Chimby, Zeba, we're just going to finish out the show with you on. Is that all right? So we're going to finish out the show just with you on here. So we normally hang up and say goodbye, but we're just going to keep you on there to make us look cooler.
Zeebs, we're assuming you've got nowhere else to go, and you're happy to commit another 5 minutes. So we've been we've been getting a lot more interaction from our penguins. So a big thank you to Mark Hill. First of all, our penguin last week, Sam, was incredible. He was chatting away. We were only supposed to have him on for about 5 minutes, and then half an hour into it, I looked over and Barry's face was like the heart eye emoji. He just fell in love with this guy. he was incredible. Yeah, and we were talking movies, Zeebs, and then we were chatting away. Me and Barry were opinionated, right? Got off it, and then he told us that he's a documentary movie maker. And then the two of us had been talking about how we know our movies, and we were like critically analysing all these movies and stuff. So anyway, Sam was Penguin of the Week last week, but this week Mark Hill did a great job of superimposing faces of myself, Baz and Pat on the Leon poster, which was very enjoyable. My longing look up to Barry was exactly the way I tend to look at you. But Gordon Edgar as well. He's been training his triplets to get them ready to win a Triple Crown in 2038. Gordon, I'd say you're devastated. We're in isolation and you're stuck training your triplets 24/7. But maybe for that alone, we might give him Penguin of the Week. So I would encourage all of our penguins. I assume you're a penguin now, Zeebs. Just keep getting in touch, keep things fresh, and stay safe and stay close, and give us plenty of giggles.
Yeah, I'm loving it. They've been sending us loads of videos. Have either of you watched Carla Spencer doing trick shots on Twitter?
Oh, incredible.
And
the back kick.
Back kick. He did that like the third shot.
The third shot, yeah.
Quade Cooper, isn't it? Quade Cooper had one this morning with an American football that if you haven't seen it, check it out on his Instagram. It's ridiculous. So keep those coming, penguins. And Zeebs, if you've got any trick shots you can show us, which I'm sure you do.
The Quade Cooper and the Carla Spencer, are they similar to Ben Best and Roy Best on the 3G in the back garden? Did you see those videos?
No, see it.
I did.
I can't get it. To be fair, there was one moment it was hilarious because he's coaching away with Ben. And then Richie, the 4-year-old, walks out dressed as Harry Potter.
Oh, brilliant. Listening to Bestie coach is hilarious. I can't picture him as a coach in my head. That's why I found it so funny. I couldn't watch it.
We know him hilarious. Too well. We know him too well.
Pablo. Yeah.
I'll have to check this out. All right, lads, we're gonna wrap it up. Zeebs, thank you so much for joining us, man. You're an absolute legend. Enjoy the rest of isolation. Put the feet up. Listen to more tunes, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks a million for having me. Really enjoyed it, and congrats again, Trimby, on the quarterfinal. And Baz, I'll see you soon.
All right, everybody. You've been listening and watching Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe together with Guinness. Thanks a million to Pat and to all our crew all over the country who've made this possible again. Thank you to Jamie Kearns and thank you to Zeebs. Party on.
Party on.
Hey.
Party on.
Cheers, brothers. Party on.